Hey guys, Jeremy here with Simple Life. In this video, we're going to be doing something that I've wanted to do for a really long time, and that is to add compressed airlines to my shop. This video is actually sponsored by Princess Auto. They hooked me up with a really great airline system, and one of the biggest reasons I want to do this is that what I do right now is use this little reel right here. And I take that and run that hose to wherever I need air in the shop, and it does work, but having a hose run across the floor, it's a pain in the butt. It can be dangerous. And the other big disadvantage with that particular hose is that it's only a 1/4 inch inside diameter. Big problem I have is if I'm working on my vehicles, even something as simple as swapping out from winter tires to summer tires, the 1/4 inch airline doesn't provide enough flow rate for some of my air tools. Let's take a real quick look. I'll show you roughly where I plan to run this thing. It might change, I'm not sure how this is gonna work out, and then I'll show you the kit that I got. This is the big beast. I just have this hose coming into this filter and a dryer, and then going into this reel. And again, this is a 1/4 inch hose. The reel works great, it's handy, but it's too narrow. So what I plan on doing is mounting an air dryer right here that I also got from Princess Auto, and I'm gonna run this pipe up here, and I'm basically just gonna follow along the line of my conduit. I haven't opened up this kit yet, so I don't know exactly what's in here, but we'll take a look at this together right now. Airline Delivery Kit, 50 pieces, 300 foot long. I should definitely have enough tubing. The one thing I'm not so sure about is that how this is gonna be to undo all this tubing by myself, but we're gonna find out. Oh, that's some pretty beefy hose. It's still cold. It's out in the shipping container and it's minus 18 degrees right now. All right, let's see what's in the smaller box. Give you a hose cutting tool, some little quick connectors. Honestly don't know what this is. These are the connectors, ball valves. Here's a couple of T's, and then we've got all these clamps that we'll use to actually fasten it to the wall with. You see, you can just run your screw right through there and then clips the line in. Looks like you can actually stack these too. Oh, that's kind of interesting. It properly spaces them out if you were doing like 2 lines or something like that. Aluminium. So obviously this one will come down from the lining. Oh, that is cold aluminum. I bet if I stuck my tongue on this. Oh. Okay, this is gross. That's a piece of my tongue. Don't do that. Anyways, these are our manifolds, so it looks like we'll come down from the line with this. We can screw these to the wall, and then I think we put in one of these at the bottom so you can drain the line, and then obviously our little thingamadobber, a little connector will go right there. And we've got our installation instructions. So this hose is a 1 inch OD, which I believe ends up being about a 3/4 inch inside diameter. So this is a multi-layered hose, and it looks like there's aluminum with maybe 2 different layers of plastic, 0.781. So that's handy. Another thing I did pick up is an air dryer. Just like this. So I'm gonna mount this on the wall, probably put a piece of wood on the wall, and then we'll bolt this to that. It's got some heavy duty bolting tabs. Air comes in here, goes up through the drying medium, and comes out here.
Now the wall that I'm gonna mount this dryer to, it's the wall between the house and the garage. And the weird thing about this wall is that it's actually plywood underneath the drywall. And the problem that presents is that I cannot find where the studs are. So I thought I'd take this piece of melamine. It's actually an old IKEA shelf that I ripped down. And I'm gonna use 8 screws to affix this plywood to the wall. And then we'll put the dryer on top of that. And essentially we'll be going, we'll be using this board to screw into as well as the plywood behind the drywall. Thinking back, if I wanted to really make sure it was secure, I could probably use some construction adhesive, something like PL Premium or something like that, but I do believe this will be plenty strong enough for supporting this dryer. So I'm going to mount the dryer first here just so I can run my piping, but I do end up taking it off later on. I don't show it in the video, but there's a top cap and a bottom cap, and I take that off, I put the thread sealant on, fill it up with the drying medium, but I just wanted to have it in place, obviously, so we could know exactly how and where to run our piping. So we'll get the air compressor out of our way, and there's one thing we need to do before we start running all of our piping, and that is to make a little standoff spacer that goes behind those manifolds that I stuck my tongue to. The threading on the nut, or the nut that on the pipe coming down from the top, is a little bit wider than the body of that manifold. So this is just 1/4 inch MDF. I just kind of cut it pretty much the exact same size as the manifold, and then I'll actually put the manifold on top of it and clamp holding it down there, use that to trace out the 4 holes. And then not shown, and I don't know why I didn't like clearly show this in the video, but there's actually a plug on the back side that needs to be installed, and a few of those plugs sat a little bit proud. And so I'm cutting this hole right here as a little bit of clearance so that that plug that I thread in there with the thread sealant on there, that's not going to give me any issues. Oh, there it is. That's the plug that I was talking about. This one went flush, but some of them actually stuck up a little high. So this next step of the process, we're just going to assemble these manifolds, put all the pieces on, and then we can find the locations on the walls and screw them in.
All right, now that we have all these assembled, I think the next thing to do is actually just mount these to the wall where they're gonna go. So we're gonna come over there from the air compressor, we're gonna come along this wall, we're gonna drop down right here, and I'm thinking one right here would be a nice spot. Then we're gonna come over to the grinding area, and I'm gonna put one right here actually. One of the reasons I want one in my grinding area is because I have one of those little air misters where you hook up an air compressor and you put it into a bucket of water and it'll actually mist your belts. I've used it before, I still have some tweaks to get it exactly so it's how I want it, but I was always, again, running the hose from the air compressor. It's gonna be nice to have air right here, and then that T will drop down, and then we'll come around over the top this way, and we're gonna bring a drop right in around here. You like how I precisely measure stuff? I'm just kind of like, yep, that's a good height right there. Works for me. And after all of these are mounted, then we can start running our line. I'm really interested to see what that hose is like to undo by myself. I don't want to have to do it outside because there's like snow on the ground. If I do, whatever, we can bring it in and wipe it all down, but right here to the wall. These things are handy sometimes. All right, this is the part that I'm probably the most, not concerned about, but I think this might be the biggest challenge. What's it like to actually unroll 50 feet of this? Okay, so far, so good. Now it looks like they have it kind of taped in different layers so that it all just doesn't come undone, which is actually really handy. I don't know how that tape broke, but I hope it didn't leak in the middle of our measurement. Oh no. All right, so we've got all the clips in place and now the fun begins. I've got this 57-foot length. Hopefully I measured it correctly. It's not much shorter than that. And what I'm gonna do is kind of lay it on the floor here, and then I'm gonna start working it up over like the ductwork of the heater. And I think I'm gonna kind of attach it to the dryer, not like permanently, but just snug it a bit so it stays put, even just tape it there. And then just kind of start there and work my way backwards. Come to each clip, straighten things out, keep things in order, make the bends I need to make, and just kind of work my way this way. I'm not sure how this is gonna work. I've never done this before, but let's give it a shot. Put these on together, and then you can see on here this little gasket, little silicone ring, and it's kind of tapered this way, so we want to push that all the way on so that that is actually inside the hose. This tool is not only just for kind of flaring it out a little bit, but if you look at it, there's actually little blades right there. So we've got a nice clean cut, and we'll stick this in, and you see those shavings coming off of there now? So we're actually cutting a little chamfer in there. Just like that, you can kind of see it there. So that helps it slip onto that silicone ring. We'll run this last little run here, hook everything up, and then we'll air it up and see if we've got any leaks.
Overall, this was a really easy process, and after this first long run, it was super simple. Every run was basically just a straight length, and then I'd put my T-connector in, bring the drop down, and the thing that actually took the longest amount of time was moving all of this junk out of the way so that I could get my ladder in here.
All right, guys, got a tight squeeze on the camera here. So essentially, we've got this 25-foot hose coming from the compressor, and then I've got a little clip here. I actually need to buy the proper clip so I can kind of route this properly. But what I want to do is I'm going to end up pegging it to the wall there, and around here, and then it'll come up like this. Now, since this isn't a swivel, what I'm actually going to do is backwards twist this the amount of times that I think I'm going to need to thread it in. And I think that'll be about 4 full revolutions. Again, let's get this set up nice and neat so there's no strain in the line. It'll be something like this. You see, if I use that, it's going to be facing, so this will be 1, 2, 3, and 4. We're going to do 4.5. Right. So essentially, I open up the valve on the compressor here, and we should charge the line. We're going to slowly open this. So that's the pressure in the lines right now. We have a leak. So that's leaking. We're gonna have to tighten that up. Let's just go have a listen to some of these other spots. We're leaking down there. Not looking so good for me. I don't think this one's leaking. No leaks there. I think this is leaking as well. So I think what I'll have to do is I'll have to spray some of these with some soapy water, simple green. That way you can verify if there's any leaks coming from here. So nothing is bubbling right there. So that's a good sign. But you see that one? That's leaking, that's bubbling like crazy. But so far I'm pretty excited. You think about it, like we're bringing air from over there, coming around to here, we've got a drop right there, another drop right there, and around there and a drop. You know, if I want to eventually have something for my lathe, I can just put a T in there, drop it down, which is really the beauty of a system like this. Same thing if I decide I want to do the full loop, I can just tie in right there, run it around. I could put a drop down there to go outside, that way I don't need that reel. I don't know, I could do all kinds of stuff. So far, I'm pretty excited, and I think this is looking very promising. All right, guys, I got all the leaks fixed. I had one little problem. I ended up getting a little bit overzealous when I was tightening up one of these fittings, and so on the original block that came with the kit, I ended up stripping it out. So I ended up finding a local place that had this little manifold thing, and it kind of did the job. The other thing I noticed is that I was having much better luck using actual thread sealant rather than just the Teflon tape. But other than that, I am really, really excited. I've actually been using this air system for about a week now, and I'll tell you what, it is so nice having air drops out in the shop. You know, if I'm using my sandblast cabinet, I don't have to run a hose. Right here, I've got a little blowgun set up, so when I'm grinding stuff with dust or if I'm drilling, I can just blow chips out of the way. Let me just kind of show you over what I did with the air compressor. So with this dryer right here, you actually fill it with a drying medium, and then it's supposed to be 25 feet away from the air compressor. So I ran this 25-foot hose. I never really explained it well. I just need to fasten this to the wall. It's one of those things. Hopefully get to it soon. I also think I'm gonna put a T in there, maybe right up there, come along here and drop another manifold down here so that I can hook up this reel again, get this working. And then I also got another 1/2 inch, you can't really see it in there. I got that from Princess Auto as well. And that's a nice self-retracting 1/2 inch hose. And that's gonna be ideal for my air guns and stuff like that when I'm doing the work on my vehicles in this side of the garage. And then having the air all the way on the other side of the garage is such an exciting thing. That piping was actually much easier to run than I thought it would be. That was my biggest concern with this. I thought I might be really wrestling and having a terrible time with it, but The other thing to think about is that this is the 1-inch system with a 3/4 inch internal diameter. Stop it. They sell one that's actually a 1/2 inch internal diameter, which might be a little bit more applicable for most people in their garages. I chose for this high flow delivery system primarily for my sandblast cabinet that's over here. I definitely think this is going to be nice, but if you would like to do something like this in your garage, even a 1/2 inch system would be really incredible, or if you have like a basement workshop or something like that. All in all, a very worthwhile upgrade. I'm so stoked that I did it, and this was something that I wish I'd done a long time ago. Anyways, I want to say thank you again to Princess Auto for sponsoring this video and providing me with this air system. I've put it to good use already, and I'm excited to get years of good service out of it. And I thank you guys for watching. Hopefully this inspires you, and I'm telling you, this is one of those little things. To me, an air system in your shop is like a luxury item, right? Like if you've got actual air plumbed into your garage. But then again, this thing took me less than a day and I've got it set up, and from here on out, I've got like a little luxury air setup. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you in the next one. Cheers. That was really foolish.